Hey everybody, this is Dave Kusek. I'm the co-author of the Future of Music book and the founder of New Artist Model. And I am here today with Mr. Jack Conte and very excited to hear what Jack has to say about his music career and about his new venture, Patreon. Now, Jack is a musician and a filmmaker and half the band Pomplamoose and founder of Patreon. And as a musician and filmmaker, Jack's catalog of videos on YouTube has amassed over 120 million views. Just think about that, 120 million views. And his new venture, Patreon, is a sustainable crowdfunding site dedicated to helping creators make a living. So I would like to welcome Mr. Jack Conte.
Thanks, Dave.
How are you?
Doing great. Doing really well. How are you doing?
Doing really good. Thank you for taking time out of your, I'm sure, amazingly busy schedule.
Of course. Yeah. I'm excited to be helping here.
Well, thanks. So we're going to have plenty of time to talk about both your music and your filming endeavors, as well as what you're doing with Patreon. But let's start with your music career. You know, you and Natalie have made quite a career out of doing what you love. At least that's what it seems like to me. And, you know, being very innovative in music and in this kind of music video genre. So can you tell us kind of your story? How did you get started? What were some of the key steps along the way? And I know you've got some pictures to share with us, so I'm going to shut up and let you talk for a while.
Okay, awesome. I'll share my my screen when the time comes. Okay, so let's see. Pomplamoose started in 2008, I believe, is when we recorded our first video together. It didn't start as a band. It just started as me and Natalie collaborating on a song together. I was going to produce a song that she had written. And after we finished the song, we realized, you know what, this doesn't really sound like Natalie's music anymore, and it certainly doesn't sound like my music. So maybe this is kind of a new thing. So we decided to call ourselves a band, and we chose the name Pomplamoose because a friend of ours thought it was a funny word. It's a French word. It means grapefruit, and we kind of anglicized the spelling of it and posted another video as Pomplamoose. And it was the kind of thing where it was slow traction. You know, we started getting more and more views on YouTube. We posted the original song that we did on my channel on YouTube in 2008. This is way back before YouTube was really exploding like it is now. And we started getting more and more views every time we released a song. Here, I'll actually pull up some of my pictures right now because I think it'll be helpful just sort of seeing what it looks like. So this is the room where we recorded all of our music. I like to show this slide because it just kind of shows you what tools we had and what kind of was available at the time. It's all really cheap gear. Like here's an M-Box that we recorded on. That's an M-Box. I think at the time that was $700, and that's the laptop that I was using. You know, cheap drums that I got on Craigslist, and this is a piano that I got on Craigslist for $50. That's an accordion that I found on Craigslist. So I mean, it's just all really cheap stuff. You can start making music, you know, in your bedroom for next to nothing, and hang some blankets on the walls and reach millions of people nowadays. And I found that particularly inspiring. So I like showing this picture because it kind of explains that, you know, you can make music that the world hears in a tiny little space with, you know, what most people would consider to be junky gear. So we started posting songs. What happened was we did a cover of the song "Single Ladies." Here's our cover of "Single Ladies." I'm not going to show it, but it now has over 10 million views. When we posted it the day after Kanye West got up at the VMAs and stole the microphone out of Taylor Swift's hand and said that Beyonce had a better video than Taylor Swift, and so everybody went online to YouTube the next day and searched for Single Ladies by Beyonce, and up popped our video, and we got about 500,000 views overnight. So that was just a little bit of luck there that kind of launched us into a new realm. Over the next couple months, our fan base just like quintupled, I think, and it was amazing. We played this little laundromat cafe that we had booked. It was a place called Brainwash, and we booked it. It's supposed to hold 75 people or something like that, and I think there were 400 people that showed up, 200 inside, 200 outside. They were spilling into the streets, and that's when we kind of realized, okay, this is a real thing. We're a band now. I'll show some other pictures. We did a couple tours, and we got some commercial gigs from our YouTube videos. A cell phone network in Austria invited us to come out there and do a commercial for them. So we did this A1 commercial. Then Hyundai had us do a series of commercials in the States, and they turned our garage into a soundstage. It was awesome. We played a New Year's show with the Dresden Dolls, which was amazing. It was like a real community. People were making fan art and sending us really cool pictures of us and of the music. It seemed like something people were really connecting to. Then we released a covers album, and I checked my let's see. That was covers album was maybe 2010. It was right after Lady Gaga released Telephone. We were like poor musicians. I was living at my dad's house in a bedroom. Natalie's parents were supporting her for the first 6 months after college, and we released this covers album and sold 30,000 songs the month that we released the album, and checked our bank account, and we had like $22,000 in our bank account from iTunes. And again, that was like one of those moments where we just realized how real it was and how possible it was. So then a lot happened after that, and in terms of where we went, I don't think we dealt with the pressure of becoming a band super well. We stopped uploading videos, and it ended up not being as explosive as we could have made it, simply because
Why did you stop? Why did you stop uploading?
Well, because we buckled under the pressure. We met with a bunch of folks in LA who said like, oh, okay, that's like, whatever, you guys are great, but now you got to take it to the next level, and you got to, your sophomore album has to be amazing, and then we didn't feel like we had any amazing songs, so we didn't put any songs out, and then, that kind of thing. So, and now 3-4 years later, we are uploading more songs, and none of them are hit songs. They're just really good songs, and now we're getting 3 or 4 million views a month again, which is actually more views than we've ever gotten ever. So we're like back on track, but it's funny. I think there's a tendency to want to be the real thing. It's like we wanted to be a real band. We felt like, oh, we're just a YouTube band. It's not real, despite the fact that we had real fans and we were selling songs on iTunes and making a living off of album sales. There was just this. It's funny, there's like a pressure to do it like everyone else is doing it, and I think the truth is, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an innovator, you kind of do it your own way and you make it work your own way, and we were doing it our own way, and we still are. We're making it work our own way, and it's a new way to do it, and it works. It's great. So we're kind of, I don't want to say we're, how do I kind of phrase this? It's a lot of hard work, and if you dream of like being a rock star, that's not what Pomplamoose is experiencing or what we've ever experienced or do. Like, we work 24/7. It's just lots of toil and labor, and it's fun, right? I mean, we love making music, we love recording, but it's not parties and drinking on a bus. It's like cranking at 1 in, being absolutely exhausted, finishing the last 2 scenes of a music video, looking at a 90 frame shot list, and having covered 45 of those shots and realizing that we have 45 left to do, and we have to be done in an hour because the hotel is closing and they're already doing us a favor. It's like that kind of thing, and that's like every day of our lives. It's just, it's so much work, and it's not like, again, I love it, and I'm so glad we're doing it, but I think a lot of people have a dream about being a rock star, and that's not what we're doing. I'm not saying it's not possible to do. I think some people do that. It's just one in a million. If you want to be a working musician and make your life work and make a living making music, and if you want to be independent and control your own music, and then you have to run your own music business and run your own label and run your own promotions, and you're the CEO of a company with no employees, and that just means that you're doing everybody's job, and it's so hard and so rewarding and so awesome. It's just not, I don't think it's what people consider to be the dream. You know, you're not rich and famous and watching the money pour in and you know, living on a bus. It's just not that.
Well, you guys look like you're having so much fun, you know, when it shows through the videos. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the production process that you use to create these video songs? I mean, it's just fascinating to watch.
Yeah, sure. So the production process is, it's different for every video. It usually is mostly pre-production, and then either a couple days of shooting, or it depends. For like the projector videos, that's almost entirely pre-production. Shooting a video takes an hour. But I don't know if you've seen any of our or any of the folks who are watching this have seen our projector videos, but you know, involves like projection mapping on a set, and you know, it takes 3 or 4 days to prepare those projections, and then maybe an hour to actually film them. If it's a more traditional style music video, like putting on the Ritz, it's usually a day or two of pre-production and then 2 or 3 days of filming. And the production process is just writing ideas down in a book and then kind of organizing them into coherent thoughts, and it's usually some kind of narrative, and then creating a shot list in Excel that's just, you know, 1 through 150, and then marching through the shot list and getting all our shots that we need for the video. And then usually Natalie edits the videos. If it's a more narrative style project, I'll edit the video. Natalie's amazing with video songs and performance videos. She just has an incredible sense of timing and lyricism to her editing. And so she does like the more performance and video song style videos, and I edit more of the video song, more of the narrative style videos.
Okay, well, thank you. You touched on this a little bit earlier, and I want to come back to it. You know, the idea that you're the CEO of your own business and that you're working 24/7, you have, you know, no employees or hardly any employees. How do you, I mean, this is something that a lot of people in my classes ask me about all the time, is how do you balance the creative side of your life with the business side of your life when, you know, you may not have a manager, you may not have a big marketing team, you've got to, you know, make ends meet financially, you got to plan out your next move. How do you balance sort of the creative life and the business life, you know, both now and in the past? How do you think about that?
That's a great question, and it was my first question when I entered this whole process years and years ago. It was like, how do I do freaking both of these things that both seem like full-time jobs? And it's a real balancing act. So for me, the way that I work creatively is I like zone out. I go into like a cave for 3 days and I create. And I need that time. I need that like unobstructed creation time to be on my creative best behavior. So for me to come out with something that I feel like creatively proud of, I just need I need uninterrupted zones of work time. That's just how I work. Everybody works differently, and everybody has a different balancing act. But I take that time that I need, and I don't really, you know, do much business during those times. That's actually starting to change because of Patreon, so I'm having to be on the phone a lot and talk to investors and talk to press and employees, and you know, so I'm more sort of on call now. I'm trying to balance all that, which is even more of a challenge. But I still try to take some sacred time. So on my calendar, I mean, here, I'll show you what my calendar looks like, and you can kind of see how I actually do the balancing act. This is my calendar. So you can see like certain days are reserved for studio time. Like here is a studio day, right? These 3 days, Friday the 13th, Saturday the 14th, Sunday the 15th. That's me in the studio, and there's no meetings booked. And then all this stuff here, this is business. And then like there's 4 more studio days, and then 3 studio days, and it's literally just about like I have to calendar it off at this point, and that kind of helps me. Sorry, let me go back to the Google Hangout here. That helps me wrap my mind around when I'm able to create, and like it helps other people know. Okay, Jack's like away these days. He's doing his thing. No meetings, no whatever, no phone calls, and then I get to do my thing. So that's how I balance it. But everybody has a different way of doing it. And one thing that I can't stress enough is like, whatever works for you is the right way to do it. And this is another thing. Someone told me about Patreon, but it applies to music too. It's like, hire where you need. So like when we were saying, how do we figure out like who to hire? They're like, well, what do you need? And I was like, well, right now one of the things we're breaking down with is like product and engineering and a front-end engineer. Like we have no one to like code the designs that we have. And they're like, great, so you need to hire a front-end engineer. Like, is that really that hard? And for me, that was a ding moment. It was like, I guess you're right. Like, what do we need? And then hire that person. And so it's the same thing with balancing your time. It's like, are you dropping the ball on email? Like, did you miss an interview with CNN? No? Okay, then you don't need to spend more time checking your email. Are you missing key emails? No? Great. Are you missing key emails? Yes, you are. Okay, great. Spend more time checking your email. Do you feel like your songs haven't been good enough in the last month? Great. Spend another day every week in the studio and take the extra time. Or sometimes if you feel like your songs aren't good enough, take less time in the studio. I've noticed too that can help. If you spend less time working on something, it gets a more raw kind of rock and roll flavor, and that can be really helpful in making your work better. But just do what it is that you need to do. Find out what's working for you and what's not, and make adjustments. And make it work for you, and don't compare your insides to anyone else's outsides. Like, you see the inside of what's happening in your workflow, in your business, and your music, and you see the outside, you see the facade of what's working with everybody else. And there's a tendency, for me especially, I'll hear about, like for instance, one of my heroes is this guy named Hank Green, who's he's a vlogger on YouTube, and he runs a company called DFTBA. They're a record label, and also another company called Subbable, and then he does Crash Course and SciShow. And I see all the stuff that he's doing. I'm just like, damn, like his flow is just so seamless. And for the longest time, I was just like, he is just the most brilliant person at setting up his work. And finally, I had a chance to talk to him, and he's like totally overwhelmed. And like he was telling me that his life is crazy. And he doesn't have 2 hours to eat, and like he's just like all over the place. And for me, that was a huge moment where I was like, fuck, like I've been comparing my inside, what I know about myself, to like Hank Green's outside, and feeling. Anyway, don't do that. It's unhealthy. Do what works for you, and know that you have to do what you have to do.
So one question I have for you is, you are very, very technically savvy, very computer savvy, and a lot of the audience that is tuning into this is looking for what are the software tools and apps that you think are most useful in your career as a musician. What do you're out there in the Bay Area, what are you aware of that's like very, very helpful that you might want to turn other people onto?
Yeah, I would say in this day and age, you have to be what I call, I haven't heard anyone else use this term, but I think it should be a thing, a shotgun creator. You have to be a shotgun. You don't have to be. You don't have to be anything. The only thing you have to do is die. I love that quote. But it's helpful for your career, in my opinion, if you are a shotgun creator. You know Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton. You know the whole thing. You know how to create audio, video, image, whatever it is. Being a shotgun creator is the ability to create media of any type and genre. So that's all that software that I just mentioned. In terms of like non-creation tools, but audience building tools.
Yeah, like audience building or personal productivity.
Sure. Yeah. So I really don't use many personal productivity tools. I use iCal to keep my calendar, and that does the job. I use voice memos to record songs and store ideas. That doesn't really work that well, but I do it anyway. I guess audience building, it's the usual suspects. It's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. YouTube for me, and again, not for you, but for me, YouTube has been an incredibly valuable audience building tool, perhaps the most effective, certainly the most effective audience building tool that I've ever used. But I have an inclination to make videos, and I like making videos. So it makes sense for me. But if you're more inclined to spend all your time on audio, then maybe SoundCloud is the better platform for you. Or I don't know, if you like making quick animations or something, maybe it's Vine. But figure out, for me, I figured out what I was good at, and that was music and video. And then I found a platform that could help me do both of those things. And I think that's probably the most important thing, is find out what you enjoy and what you like and what you're good at, and then the platform that'll do that. But I really don't think there's anything that rivals YouTube in terms of audience building. If you can make videos, and if you like making videos, there just is no... Everybody wants videos nowadays. That's where people are. And I realized that in 2008. I was looking at MySpace, and I just spent 6 months on a record, and I put my record up on MySpace, and I was getting 3 or 4 plays a day, and it was super depressing. And then somebody sent me a link to some kid singing a song in front of a webcam with his guitar, and he had like 300,000 views or something stupid. He was just singing a song in front of a webcam, strumming a guitar, 300,000 views, and I had 3 views on MySpace. And it's when I realized, people like videos, so I'm going to make videos. So yeah, I think that's why it's such a valuable thing for me.
So what are your plans for Pomplamoose and your music career, in general, in the kind of next phase? What are you planning to do next?
Yeah, so we have a tour coming up in October. It's a full U.S. tour, our biggest tour ever. It's like 20 stops. And that's September through October. Then we have more songs and mashups coming out. We have an album coming out on July 29th. And after that, more videos, more songs. That's it. I mean, it's funny. The artist cycle nowadays, I think the artist cycle used to be this kind of thing that looked like this. It was like press, 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 press. Album drops, tour. Ugh, we're gone for 2 years. Press, 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 press. Album drops, tour. Okay, and then you're gone for another couple years. And so you get this, like, if you do a Google trend search of pretty much any classic band, Coldplay, Daft Punk, Maroon 5, whatever, you're going to literally see that their career is a series of peaks and valleys. Yeah. And a healthy one is, where each peak is a little higher than the last one. A less healthy career is where each peak is a little lower than the last one. Actually, that's not an unhealthy career. It's also just kind of natural, So like Coldplay had like a huge peak in like 2006, and then they had a bunch of smaller peaks after that. And that's just kind of the way it is. Versus like a band on YouTube like Rhett and Link, their career, instead of looking like peaks and valleys, they release a new video every week. Their career on a Google trend search literally looks like this. Like, it's just this linear, it's just a straight line up. And so it's just a very different kind of PR and artist cycle mentality than I think labels are used to. Labels don't really, I don't think they really understand this vision. They're really doing this kind of thing. And so for Pomplamoose, like what's next for us? We just want to do this. So that means lots of new videos all the time, lots of new music coming out all the time. I don't know if there's going to be another album. It's going to be singles, maybe. Maybe it's another album. We'll see what happens when we get to 10 songs. You know, it's just kind of release, 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 come out with lots of stuff, make lots of stuff.
Very cool. Okay, so a little while ago you had this idea about Patreon, and I'm curious as to what sparked it. What was the sort of the genesis of the whole thing behind Patreon? Where'd you get it? The idea, what was the thought process behind that, and how did you execute on that? How did you decide to jump in?
Yeah. So in January of last year, I started production on a music video. Here, I'll pull some of it up here while we're talking about this. I started production on a music video called Petals. It was the most elaborate music video I've ever worked on, and I drained my bank account in order to do it. It costs over $10,000 to make this video, which for me is like just a crap load of money, and it was not a good idea to do that. But I did it because I just wanted to make something. I wanted to put out a video that I was really proud of. So you can see it here. There's like this robot set. I built this whole set by hand. It features these like cool guitar pedals. This is a robot from the UK that this hobby robotics maker built, and it's a fully animatronic head, and it sings and all this kind of cool stuff. Anyway, I spent 3 months from January, February to March making this video. We shot at the very end of March, and it was a real effort for me. I mean, I've never made anything that required this much problem solving and time and energy. And I knew I was going to put it on YouTube, and I knew it was going to get somewhere around a million views, which it ended up getting. And that generates about $200 for me in ad revenue. And I just didn't feel like it was worth $200 to my fans. I felt like they would be disappointed that I was getting paid $200 for making this video, and I think they'd want to pay more to help me make more videos like it. So I basically said, okay, what if here's another robot here. This is by this guy named Matt Bunting. He built this whole thing from scratch. He used a 3D printer and all these cool servos, and that's a little Intel computer sitting on the top of it doing all the processing on board. It's an amazing machine. Anyway, I knew my fans would really like this video. I knew they were going to connect with it. I knew they would want to pay me to make more. And so I said, okay, what if I were to have a site where I release a video and I say, hey, I'm releasing more videos all the time, and how about you contribute $1 every time I release something? So you enter your credit card info, and then every time I release a video, you pay me $1. So it's asking basically for a recurring pledge from fans. And I knew this is something that my fans would want to do. I knew they would want that. Just because I have just interacted with folks, and I knew they cared about my music, and I knew they cared about me, and I knew that's something that they would want. And so I pitched the idea to my freshman year roommate in college, Sam Yam, and I told him about the idea. He started coding it that night, and we launched with Patreon 3 months later. And within a couple days, I had like $3,000 or $4,000 pledged per video that I made. So that means every time I release a video, I would get paid $4,000, which is like, I got my check from AdSense last month. 2 weeks ago, my check was, I think it was $149 for my million views or whatever it is that I got on YouTube that month. So it's way better than ads. It pays me 100 times, 10 times what I'm making from ads, and it just makes way more sense. So So that's it. So that's what Patreon is. Now we're 12 months in. Let's see, we launched May of last year, and it's June, so we're 13 months in, and we've sent over $2 million to creators so far in the life of the site, and we've got 25,000 creators using the platform, and we've grown now. I think we have 9 people working here now. We're adding 2 more this week, so we'll be at 11 people. And we're trying to build a team of programmers and product people and creator relations folks, and it's super exciting and super hard and a whole new set of problems. And at the same time, I'm trying to still stay active on Pomplamoose. So Pomplamoose is releasing songs, and yeah, it's just so awesome. It's like it's busy and fun and great.
So I heard a quote. Somebody asked David Geffen a while back, would you re-enter the music business, or would you enter the music business today, given all the tools that we have? And he said, hell no. And when somebody pushed back on that, it was like, well, what, why? And his answer was that success in music has been based primarily on frequency. The number of plays, how often something was exposed, and how often people were exposed to a song, really drove the success of the business that we all know and love from his perspective. And so I'm wondering, with Patreon and the model that you have, how important is frequency and regular generation of material and regular contributions from the fans, that whole interaction between the creator and the fan? How important is frequency to that whole model?
I would say frequency is less important than connection. So the folks that do best on Patreon are not the people who release more frequently. They're people who love their fans the most and whose fans love them the most. They're people who regularly appreciate their fan base, and people whose fan bases feel hyper connected to them. So those are the people who do best on Patreon. Some of those people release every day. Some of them release once a month. Some of them release every 4 months. It just depends on the person and the fan base. But I don't think you have to release something every day, or even once a week, or to be on a regular schedule. You don't have to. You can release something once a month or once every 2 months, and still have a really active, caring fan base. Now, if you have a really active, caring fan base and you're able to release something every week, that's really amazing, right? That's like really awesome. But if you're releasing every week and you don't give a crap about your fans, that's what the bottleneck is. It has to do with the connection. So people who are most connected, I think, with their fans.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have you found so far in terms of sort of like the price points of the donations or the pledges that people are being asked to make? Is there sort of a sweet spot there? What's been your experience so far?
The average pledge per month is $9. So it's a little over $7 per piece of content, and it's a little more than one piece of content released each month. So that seems to be the sweet spot. Some folks pledge $100 per thing that's released. Some folks pledge $1,000 per thing that's released. We have a couple creators making $1,000 from one person, $1,000 per thing they release. That's extraordinary to me, although I understand. I get that feeling. I get the emotion, because there are creators that I love too, and if I could support people like that, I would. I can't. So I support creators on a more micro level, you know,
Yeah.
$1 to $20 per thing. But you know, people who have the financial ability and the desire, I understand why they're paying $1,000 per thing. But yeah, most people land, you know, around $7, $5 to $7 per thing.
So in a similar vein, how important is sort of personalization and customization of the rewards or what people receive versus just making something as a creative act without any regard to the fan on a personal level? You talked about connection being more critical than frequency. How important is customization and personalization? We've read so much and heard so much about the Kickstarter stories of signed guitars and access to an artist in the studio and that kind of thing. What's been your experience there?
Yeah, so rewards are you know, a really important key thing, and I have a lot to say about rewards. I guess the most important thing about rewards, if I had to narrow it down to one thing, well, actually, let's start by saying some people are paying because they want to support the creator. Some people are paying just because they want to support the creator. Some people are paying because they want to support the creator and they want some of the extra stuff, whether it's, you know, for Pomplamoose, some of our rewards are, you know, Ableton tutorials. So I go over the Ableton sessions. I do screenshots with everybody, and a screen capture of me like talking through the Ableton session. Some of the rewards are like that, and you can imagine a music student would get a lot of value out of that. And so, you know, would I pay $10 to watch Skrillex walk through one of his Ableton sessions? I'd pay $100 for that. I might pay $1,000 for that. So yeah, there's definitely like real value that people are getting in some of the real things. That said, we found empirically, we haven't actually done a study, so this is just based on observation, but we found that about half the people are supporting just because they want to support, and the rewards are kind of icing on the cake. So, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. In terms of making the rewards one thing or another, I think it's just about what your fans want. Some of the fans want a connection. They want to come to a webcast and hang out with you at a webcast. Some of them want to learn about music and they want to learn about your production process, and they want a karaoke track to sing over, or they want to see your Final Cut profiles for your sketch comedy, or they want to read about your creative process for, you know, writing a blog post or whatever it is that you do. It just is basically trying to figure out what it is that your fans actually want. And yes, sometimes that means doing things that are very individual. Like I think that the market that people, you know, refer to as experiences. They say it's the experiences market. We try to encourage creators away from the experiences market because experiences aren't scalable for our creators. Since they're doing this every month, they can't really do a one-on-one Skype session with 25 people every month. They would exhaust themselves, and they would spend all of their time fulfilling rewards instead of being a creator. And so we want to encourage people to do things that allow them to be a creator and make their fans happy. So we encourage like really scalable, digital scalable rewards that cost the creator the same amount of time, whether they have 1 patron or 1,000 patrons.
Cool. So I know that you got a hard stop coming up. Last question for you is just a little bit of blue sky thinking. You know, how do you look at the music business looking out in the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, what do you think about the business? Where are we all going? And what are some important things for people to be thinking about and learning about?
Yeah, so this is something that actually I am not a doomsdayer when it comes to the music business. I think to be alive as a musician right now is the greatest time in history as a human to be alive and to be a musician. For the first time in human history, you can reach other people for free. You can talk to them, you can tell them your ideas, you can play your song for them, and they want to hear it. Like, when has that ever been an option for people? Your first job as a musician was to convince some dude in a suit that you were cool enough to be heard, and you don't have to do that anymore. You just write your song, and it's heard. Like, that is... I don't know if people realize how much we should be cherishing this moment in human history, but this is unprecedented and extraordinary, and I am so excited to be alive right now. I mean, it is just the coolest time. So that's the first thing, is like, damn, take advantage of this weird thing that's happening to humanity right now. Like, this is weird that we can all just talk to each other. That's never been around, and we get to do that. So what's exciting right now about the music business and where's it going? It's going to more of that. It's going to more of like, hey, you person who told me that I can't talk to any of those people, I don't have to listen to you anymore. More of that, more direct creator to fan relationships. It's going to be about fostering that connection and those relationships over the next 5-10 years. In terms of what kind of tech is emerging and where the money is going and where money will be coming from. So I think the reason people complain about the music business and the reason people are like doomsayers about it is because the money is changing hands. But it's kind of like anything, right? I mean, tech is eating every single industry. Like, there is no classic industry that is safe right now. If you have been around for 50 years and you're in publishing or you're in blah, 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 I don't care. So whatever industry you've set up with billions of dollars of infrastructure, run for your life, because Silicon Valley is coming for you, and they are relentless. And it is so scary to see this happening. Like Airbnb and and Uber and like all these like massive industries are just going out of business, and because tech is emerging, and it's really scary to see that happening. But it doesn't mean that the industry is dying, right? Like taxi cabs, like people still need to get from A to B. Just because money isn't flowing through yellow cab anymore doesn't mean that the going from A to B industry is dying. Like, far from it. It's easier to get from A to B now than it ever has been. It's the same thing with music. Music is more important now and more ubiquitous than it ever has been. Like, the music industry is flourishing right now. It's just that the money is flowing through a different series of companies and outlets. So a lot of the classic old school architecture is complaining because to them it feels like the industry is dying, when really it's just changing hands. So that's kind of what I feel about the music industry. I'm also not one of those people that thinks labels are going under. I think there's always going to be room for labels, or call it what you want. There's always going to be room for a company that runs business for an artist. So an artist says, screw it, I just want to play guitar and smoke pot and make songs, and they, at the end of the day, they give their music to a label, and the label does the marketing and the Facebook and the blah blah blah, and they have tour support and they manage and the blah blah. They do the whole business operation for the artist. There's always going to be room for a company that wants to step in and run business for an artist. Call it a label, call it a publisher, whatever you want to do. That's going to be worth a lot to artists who aren't entrepreneurs and who aren't savvy and who just want to write music, and that's awesome. I mean, I think there should be this kind of business, because can you imagine Bob Marley, on Facebook asking fans to like his new I mean, it's just like some artists, they shouldn't have to do that, right? So it's a good thing that those companies will always exist. I really do think they will, and I think there's a place for them. I just think they're going to kind of reshape over the next couple of years. And then in terms of the music and the creativity itself, I think it's better than it's ever been, because ideas can spread and propagate so quickly and so freely. I think music as a medium is changing and is more creative than it's ever been, and there's more like feeding off of itself than it ever has. So we're just like seeing these explosions of ideas. Like EDM, I think, is the most clear of them all. I think it's the first one to kind of take over in like a year. You know, it's just in a year everybody is doing EDM, and it's everything that's on the radio. And like, it used to be that music was a decade at a time. You know, you listen to 70s music and that sounds distinct, and then 80s music and 90s music, that's over. Like, there's going to be no such thing as 2010s music. It's going to be like 20 different things. And then like 2020s music is going to be like every year it's like a different genre and style, and like, so ideas are going to start to propagate and spread even quicker, I think, and we'll start to see these mini cultural revolutions happen, and also like a diversification of those revolutions, so more niches and more individual pockets of music as opposed to massive cultural phenomena.
Lots of opportunity, no question about it. I want to thank my friend Jack Conte from Pomplamoose and Patreon for taking the time out of his awesomely busy schedule to share his thoughts with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, David. Really excited.